Are you ready to discover South Korea? If you are planning on running or participating in an EF Tour South Korea trip, or if you're just interested in going to South Korea yourself, every Wednesday over the next few months, I will be creating a series of videos to help teachers, parents, and students to get a sense of what the pace of the trip is like and what kind of activities we do. I'm Mike Dalton, and this is Dalton's Detours. After our long overnight flight and the first night in Seoul, the next morning we headed to Busan. We had a very early wake-up call, and we had to get our bags down into the lobby of the hotel, because the one nice thing about the Japan and South Korea trips, and I would include this as a solo traveler outside of a school trip, is that there is a luggage service that will take your bags from your hotel in Seoul, for example, to Busan. This is very convenient, especially for school trips, because, now we don't have to worry about our big luggage anymore. And for the rest of that day, basically, we have our backpacks and we're off and running. We had a very chaotic and unique breakfast, lots of different types of foods. And then we were off to the train station. The bullet train experience in South Korea to me was very similar to Japan. There were amazing train stations, super organized, clean, efficient, and more importantly, the trains were fast. My only knowledge of the Train to Busan is an actual movie I watched in 2016 called The Train to Busan, and it was about a zombie apocalypse. Needless to say, our train ride was much calmer than the movie, and we got there in 2.5 hours, and it was a great train ride, a great experience. And as I said, very similar to the Japanese trains. But it was a pleasant 2.5 hour ride. When we arrived at the Busan Station, which was also incredible, Jenny, our tour director, gave us about an hour to eat lunch. It was around lunchtime. And so we were kind of left to our own devices. Remember, lunches on EF tours are 99% of the time on your own. You pay for it yourself, but it also gives you a chance to eat whatever you want. And this was our first experience all in South Korea where we had to kind of go do it ourselves. And to me, this is the best part about travel. It's that uncomfortable moment where you have to figure something out, grab lunch in a foreign language. You don't really know what's going on. And so we found a place at the train station, and it was nice because it had touch screens where you could order all your food. It was super efficient and organized. Your number would pop up. It had kind of unlimited sides, including kimchi that you could get. And between the three of us, the three chaperones, we ate together. We had, 2 bowls of Korean ramen. We had some gimbap, which is kind of like California rolls a little bit. A bulgogi bowl, and all these sides, and the entire meal, I think, cost $25. So our first kind of on our own experience in Korea was phenomenal. It was cheap, it tasted amazing, and it was convenient for us in the amount of time we had. So Busan train station, if you have to eat there, not a problem at all. After we left the train station, we were picked up in our bus by the bus driver that we will have for the next 3 days. The bus was a perfect size. I believe it held 44 people. We had 43, including our tour director. So our bus driver took us to Gamcheon Culture Village. This was a former refugee camp that was renovated in 2009. Post the Korean War, 500,000 plus refugees came to Busan, and many of them ended up on this hillside overlooking Busan. And today, after 2009, when they brought in a bunch of artists and people that came in to kind of beautify the place, it has turned into a huge tourist attraction, a huge place for artists to come, and it's beautiful. This was really a place I wish we had more time to wander. We had about an hour or so, and Jenny had recommended that we grab a coffee at a local coffee shop, and they have like a rooftop bar where you could overlook the village. And these were, beautiful views. Beyond that, we didn't have that much time. and I wish we had a little bit more. As much as I enjoyed lunch at the station, my only suggestion would perhaps to be for us to have left the station, immediately gone to the village, maybe spent 2.5 hours there and eaten lunch while we're there. Now, I will say I don't know how many lunch places would be available there. Lots of coffee shops and a little bit of street food, but at least that would be something I would have looked into. After Gamcheon, we headed to Haeundae Beach to take the Busan coast train. It was an okay trip, and the kids seemed to enjoy it. It seemed a little redundant along the coastline, being that we didn't really go that far, and then we had to get back on the bus. And being that we were going to the temple on the coast later, I felt like perhaps we could have skipped that and just spent more time at the temple. Now, with that said, it was beautiful views. Everyone seemed to enjoy it, so, what do I know? Our final activity before we went to dinner was to head to the temple on the coast, Haedong Yonggungsa. This coastal temple is considered the most impressive and beautiful in South Korea. And I have to agree, although I haven't seen all the temples in South Korea, what we saw on this trip, by far this was the best one. It dates back to the 14th century, but later it caught fire and was abandoned. In the 1930s, they started to do some restoration, and in 1974 is when kind of the modern day rendition of this temple takes hold, and this is when it gets its name. The name Haedong Yonggungsa means Korean Dragon Palace. The name comes from a vision experienced by the head monk at the time of the goddess of mercy riding a dragon during meditation. The temple was well worth the hour and a half plus that we got there, and 100% this is a must-see in Busan if you're in that region. We went to dinner at that point right outside of Jagalchi Market. After a quick wander around the market, we ate dinner right next door in a very local-looking restaurant. This seemed to be an unbelievably authentic experience. It seemed like a lot of locals there. Nothing was in English. So far, my experience in Japan and Korea is starting to become, maybe because it's such a new trip and less tour groups there, that many of the meals seem very authentic to me. They had a pot of seafood stew boiling and tons of fish and side dishes, and everybody seemed to get a chance to eat something that they liked, but this was the one meal I felt like on the trip, and especially this meal that was very seafood oriented. So if you don't like seafood, this won't be your favorite meal. With that being said, it was very interactive, tons of options to eat. Just stuff yourself with kimchi and everything will be fine. Overall, I think everyone really enjoyed this meal, and the experience of getting some seafood next to the largest seafood market in Korea. And if you're not a fan of fish, don't worry. There is a ton of Korean barbecue and pork and chicken coming your way, so you're going to be all right. After dinner, we went back to our hotel. It was called the Busan Tourist Hotel. Giant lobby, so that was nice for check-in. We grabbed our bags that were delivered from Seoul, checked in, got our rooms organized, and, people at that point, a lot of them just went up to bed. Some of us took some of the kids out to the local Korean convenience stores. Very important when you're in Korea and Japan to go to the convenience stores to get snacks, because it's a completely unique experience in and of itself. We did have one situation where a girl's luggage was lost in Busan because some other luggage company grabbed her luggage. Now, in fairness, they did leave it unattended off to the side, so that was part of the problem. Good news is our tour director, Jenny, helped us track it down. The luggage had made its way down to the island in South Korea, so it got to go there and we didn't. And we ended up getting it back. They had it delivered to our next hotel. So it all worked out, but that was just a good learning lesson of not leaving your luggage unattended. Overall, this was a long day, but a very good day. It's amazing how much we saw and experienced in that amount of time. From the time we left Seoul to the time we checked into our hotel. I feel like it was 2 days combined in one. It never really felt that rushed. It's just I feel like we did get to see a lot. This was our only night staying in Busan, so the next morning we're going to have to get up. We're not doing a luggage transfer because we have our bus, and we're going to put our luggage on the bus. We're going to spend a little time in Busan, and we're going to head out to the temple area called Jeongju. And the one thing I knew was about to happen, which did happen, which was I will be waking up at 3:30 a.m. completely ready to go, thanks to the jet lag. From this point on as well, the tour will slow down. We're spending 2 nights in Jeongju, and we're going to spend 3 nights in Seoul. So I think the tough part of the trip is that first section, but it's fine. You're in South Korea. I have a rule when it comes to travel. If I'm not in Ohio, I'm usually pretty excited just to go see something new. Love living in Ohio. Sometimes you got to get out.